Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 1 of Weekly Collective, a business podcast for the rest of us. I'm your host, Nick. Later on, we have guest David Brown, owner of NEO1SEO.com, otherwise known as Matrix Marketing. We're going to ask him some questions about what he does, what his day-to-day is like, and hopefully get some input or some advice for those of us trying to tackle SEO on our own. I'd like to go ahead and dive right in by explaining what I hope Weekly Collective will become. The slogan, as I just mentioned, is Weekly Collective, a business podcast for the rest of us. And the idea behind it was kind of born out of my own frustration. I work from home. I do website design and things like that. So I spend 8 hours in front of the computer, and when I'm not working, I'm just kind of milling around the house, running errands, doing chores, things like that. And I desperately looked for a business podcast. I wanted one to have on in the background while I'm working, as opposed to listening to South Park or Family Guy or something. And I also wanted one when I was doing my errands, mowing the lawn, whatever it might be, taking the dog for a walk. And I couldn't find a single one that I enjoyed. Every one of them I came across, and there might be a few that fall into this category that I'm looking for, and I'd love to hear about them. I'd like to have some to listen to, but every one of them that I found was just, and I'll say it like this: it was so far above my head. Whether the things they were talking about were valuable or not, or they were just kind of flexing their small business education, whatever it might be. The things they were talking about just were zero parts relatable to me. There was nothing I could take away from them. I just didn't understand what they were talking about. And that's, I guess that's me being modest. And it's my fault. And they're probably super valuable for the people that can recognize what they're saying and can relate to it. But there just wasn't a single thing I could ever take away from them. And that was really disappointing. I would do this silly thing where I would find one thing I could relate to, and I would just, I would give it laser-like focus, and I would just, it'd be on in the background 24/7. For a while, I got really interested in like the Steve Jobs keynotes, just because they're 4 hours long, and you can put them on in the background. You don't really have to listen to it, but it just kind of gets you in that mode of, oh, look at this success, look at this cool thing that's happening. I can make a cool thing too. And it just kind of helped having in the background. I would have a like that Pirates of the Silicon Valley movie. Jobs. I promise I'm not an Apple fanboy. They just all happen to be easily accessible and easy listening things to have in the background that kind of related to what I was looking for. And I went through every documentary, relevant documentary on Netflix. I forget what they're all called. They're all hop on there and look for business or entrepreneur, and there's a bunch of Bloomberg ones. I think it's called Bloomberg Game Changers. Anyway, I'd have all those in the background, and I kind of exhausted those. I was all out of things to listen to. So I thought, oh wow, there's podcasts. I could get a weekly episode of something that'd be great. So I hopped on iTunes and hopped on Google, and there's no shortage of them that they'll suggest. Thousands and thousands and thousands of business podcasts. But out of the 100 or so I tried, none of them really grabbed me. None of them gave me anything valuable. That's not to say they're not good. They're probably great. I couldn't understand what they were talking about. It wasn't something that I could latch on to and apply to my business, or really just take in as something to aspire to. So that's the primary goal here. Is just to create something that I don't mean to down, to get down on anyway, but what Joe Everyman business owner can listen to. Whether you do website design and marketing, or you own a lawn care company, or party supply rental, whatever it might be, you can grab this thing, and you can really sit down and listen to it and take it all in, or have it on the background while you work, or while you're driving to work, or whatever it might be. But the primary goal is to have something that you can apply to anybody. It's really the everyman's business podcast. So hopefully I can accomplish that goal. I'm so interested in input. If you've got a suggestion for a topic or a guest, or add this section, remove this section, I really enjoyed this. I'd love to hear it. Depending on where you're listening to this on, feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a message. I'm not hard to find, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. With me, I have David Brown, owner of NEO1SEO.com, otherwise known as Matrix Marketing. Hey, David, it kind of goes without saying, it's right in the name. You do search engine optimization, but can you kind of elaborate on both what you do personally and what your business does in a whole?
Sure. So obviously, we do a lot of SEO work. I've been the president of this company. I've been doing this since 1999, and we've grown. I've been with a couple of different companies, but primarily what we do right now is we work for small mom and pops all the way up to Inc. 500s, Fortune 500s, and even a couple of Fortune 100s here and there. Um, we do a lot of content marketing. We do a bunch of RDFA, which is resource description framework and attributes. That's Sir Tim Berners Lee's new fancy code. A lot of you have probably heard about Web 3.0 or the semantic web. Probably heard of schema. RDFA is like schema with a lot more options. So
Mhm.
we've had a lot of great success with that. Um, our best one thus far was a small little company out of Pennsylvania, was doing about 130,000 unique visits a month. We turned on the RDFA and we got them to 330,000 uniques inside of 30 days without building a single link or producing a single piece of content. So,
Mhm.
some really cool stuff. Social media marketing, all that. Pretty much anything you could imagine, we do.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to kind of switch the order up here. You mentioned something, and I'm really curious about it. I've noticed it mentioned on forums in the past couple of days. You said you do anything from small mom and pop shops to much larger scale operations or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, people talk about scale pricing. It's now that I'm asking, it's probably not something that you delve into too much. Considering that a small mom and pop shop with that can only afford you know double digits or triple digits instead of more, I guess, would not be as valuable to you. But do you do any sort of scale pricing? And if you don't want to answer this, that's fine. I understand. But as far as if Joe Schmo Lawn Care Company contacts you versus Target or Walmart or something crazy like that, and I guess there would be varying amounts of effort that actually have to go into those targeting a small city in Oklahoma versus nationwide. But um, do you do any sort of scale pricing? Do you consider that when you give a quote, or is it more just across the board considering the size of your business?
No, no two sites are alike.
Mm-hmm.
And I started telling you before the call, we had done some work where I had to go up against home value and home values.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the terms I was trying to get on the first page of Google.
Mm-hmm.
They had been doing only PPC, spending about 75,000 a month, and that was right when Vanessa Fox had left Google.
Mm-hmm.
Her first job was at Zillow, and she had shot me a note and said, "Hey, I know you're over here at GMHV. Um, you know, kind of a good luck type of thing."
Mm-hmm.
I had 6 employees and a $28,000 budget, and that's one of the only times in my life I took a third place ranking
Mm-hmm.
as a win, because Zillow and Caldwell Banker, which were number one and number two, had very nice seven-figure budgets. So, to the analogy of the small lawn care guy in Oklahoma, you can always go and take a look at your competition, and you can use the AdWords calculator in Google and try and figure out if they're paying for ads. Um, you can do your Google Places, claim your Google business for local, try and get in that local pack. Um, Moz has a really great local deal for 84 bucks. So what I would do for somebody that's just local, rather than take them on and say, all right, this is going to be $1,500, $2,000 a month to get done what you need done, we would just take that from an angle of, here's some consultation, here's a checklist, here's your homework. You need to go and complete all of these steps. And here's what the hard costs are going to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
like the SEO Moz or the Moz local that I was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
I've always told my clients for the last decade, make sure you get a link at Best of the Web. Best of the Web is one of the internet's oldest directories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, DMOZ is right up there, but it's next to impossible to get a DMOZ link. So Best of the Web, I believe, is 199 annually, 299 for a lifetime link.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go through Moz Local, which is 84 bucks, you get the link,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you get quite a few others. I went through and penciled it out one day. It's about $1,600 worth of links you get for 84 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So for a local small guy, that's great. Go and do that, and it doesn't cost me anything to do it. I suppose I could always send my affiliate link through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's just laziness on my part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 'Cause, I could make a whopping $8.40.
Right.
So,
Right.
but done enough times, that does actually work out to something. So, but no, for people like that, it's not that we don't want to work with them. It's just I know you don't have the budget for it, and I'm not going to try and you know blow smoke and say, hey, you're going to be first page of Google for every major term you could possibly imagine in less than 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. So
Mm-hmm.
realistic expectations, and that's for a small business owner, that's one of the biggest debacles we have is managing client expectations.
Mm-hmm.
um, you know Everybody thinks, oh, especially the people that go and visit Fiverr or Black Hat World.
Mm-hmm.
I heard all I have to do is pay 15 bucks over here, get 180,000 backlinks, and I'll be number one in Google. Sure, that'll work for a short period of time. And then Pandan or Penguin, one of the two, I believe it's Penguin. Don't quote me on that. Uh, yeah, it is Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
It'll pick you up and drop you out of the index.
Right.
So
Right.
there you go. I'd save my 15 bucks because the companies that pull you out charge anywhere from 1,500 to 7,500 to pull you out a penalty. So
Mm-hmm.
15
Mm-hmm.
bucks to put you in, quite a bit more to pull you out. And
Right.
then you lose that 6 to 9 months in between there of any
Right.
profitability as well. So
Right.
not a good idea.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. It kind of segues right into my next topic. You're a particularly interesting guest because what you do applies to, I don't know, it could technically apply to any business owner. Anyone that listens to this, whether they rely heavily on the web for making sales, or whether they're strictly virtual, or they're I don't know what you'd call it, a physical company, a brick and mortar store that happens to have a website or takes advantage of the web in any way. It, trying to do search engine optimization or various types of marketing themselves, mostly search engine optimization. Other types of marketing, if you fail, you fail. Unless you have a huge faux pas, people forget it, and it doesn't stick around. As far as search engine optimization goes, I see a lot of people insisting on whether they're trying it themselves or doing it themselves, and they'll post on various boards, or they'll ask, hey, what advice do you have to get to the top of Google? And it sounds like a silly question in itself. My advice as a non-professional is just, for the most part, or first and foremost, and you can apply this to just about anything, be the best in your field. Be the best at what you do, and with little extra effort, it'll kind of come naturally. And I recognize that that's not across the board. And as an SEO professional, you might say, yes, but largely no, because of the other people kind of gaming the system. But that's kind of what I suggest people do. Before anything else, is don't waste your time on a crap site, or I don't know.
Right.
I've kind of gone off on a tangent, but
No, that's
my
fine. I go
my
off on tangents all the time.
my
There's so much
question.
info.
Right. My question is, what advice do you have for business owners of any size that insist on doing their own SEO? Do you have helpful input? Would you suggest they not try it, leave it to a professional? Because you see lots of people that, I don't know if we were pre or in the interview or whatever, but you had mentioned people will get, I think you called it a bad blog or something, advice from a bad blog, a site that's whether it's outdated information or just nonsense, just garbage. People will post and say, oh well, I'm doing these backlinkings. I'm just really laying the backlinks on heavy, and they just use, I don't know if you'd call it a buzzword or not, because at one point it did hold some value. It's not a scare word or anything like that, but at this point, to just go out and blast backlinks on irrelevant sites, it does far more damage than good.
Well, on
And
relevant sites, it's not going to hurt you
right.
as much as backlinks are a little scary. I was actually at Search Engine Strategies '06 when they had the paid links are evil tracked, which is when and I had friends in the industry that give me $10,000 if you want first place because I can buy enough links, and we were even buying links from the New York Times. Do follow links. So after all that happened, the no follows came out. I guess let me step back just real quickly. There is a lot of bad information out there, and there's a lot of people telling you you can do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. And there's nothing wrong with doing SEO yourself. You can do it. Um, my the issue I've had time and time again, we can tell everybody. David McGinnis, who's a mentor of mine, he's the guy that started PR Web. He lives right up here. In fact, we just had lunch the other day. He just launched cranberry.com. Um, he spent a lot of money when he started up PR Web trying to find the best times to release content. And he shared some of that with us. And for all of our clients in the back end of WordPress on their blogs, when we write something, we publish every Tuesday and Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time without fail. And the reason we do that, we found that we can kind of train Googlebot a bit like Pavlov's dog, ring the bell, Googlebot starts drooling.
Mm-hmm.
So we found that inside of a couple of months of doing that, 1201 Googlebot's on there. They want their new content, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell this to everybody in our consultations, whatever. They're like, oh, that's great. I'm going to write all kinds of stuff. Well, here's how that transpires. Month one, they'll write 50 blog posts. By month two, it's in half. By month six, we're lucky to get a single blog post out.
Mm-hmm.
So frequency is of the utmost importance when you're dealing with basically a robot, an algorithm, right?
Mm-hmm.
That frequency really plays in there. So you can do it, and it's really not that hard. Go to BuzzFeed, and if you're in a specific vertical, use the key phrase and look at the top ones that have got the most shares. Take that article, read it, look at all the resources that they used, link out to places .govs, .edus, appropriate places for you to link. Don't sit there and try and push your blue widget or your green widget in your copy. Write some good quality evergreen content, and the links will come in naturally. So, yes, you can do it, and you know your industry much better than I do or my writers do. We have to do quite a bit of research to find out, what's going on in your industry to get that out there. So,
Mm-hmm.
if you're one of the best in your industry, like you said before, just provide a really good user experience,
Mm-hmm.
and people will start talking about you. Provide really great customer service. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I do remember, I think it was Greg Bozer said, if you type in anything with shoes in a tweet, the CEO of Zappos will follow you back within 24 hours. He'd set up
Hmm.
a little program on an RSS feed, and sure enough, typed in something about shoes, and I was being a smart aleck about it, and typed in, pretty butterfly shoes, and within, I think, 12 hours, the CEO was following me. How cool is that? The CEO of this major company is following me because I did this tweet. Well, it was great. And he interacts, and, he shows that he's an actual regular everyday Joe. He's going out taking pictures of his fish fillet at McDonald's or whatever. And, it's not all business. You can
Mm-hmm.
stand on a soapbox and yell with a bullhorn, I've got the greatest thing ever. And then you're basically a carnival caller. You're
Mm-hmm.
not providing an answer to a question or a problem that somebody has. And when people start to realize that Google's being used more and more every day as a magic 8 ball, how do I fill in the blank? What happens when fill in the blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
If those questions, here's one. If you've been in business for 2 or 3 years and you have a customer service department via email, go back through your emails. Hopefully you're saving those. That's data. See which questions have been asked repeatedly, and then write a really good write up about that. Explain it in detail. Put images up. Posts with 3 or more images are getting a 60% higher share rate. It's great
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's a diagram, a how to, this stupid IKEA, whatever I bought, can't put it together. Even if you're just a DIY blogger, here's how I did it. Take some pictures. We met on Reddit. You can see on those DIY boards, when somebody
Mm-hmm.
puts something up, there's all kinds of pictures and explanations, and
Mm-hmm.
those get tons of visits.
Mm-hmm.
That's a successful formula. Follow it, just
Mm-hmm.
recreate it. So, yeah, people can do that. The technical side of SEO, really not difficult. The on-site, I would say, is about 10% of your overall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how many H1s should I use? How long is too long for a title tag? Should I use the meta keyword? No, do not use that tag. Write a decent description. Google only uses it about 20 to 30% of the time if they can't find good content on your site. Um, Write it up. Ask somebody that's not in your industry. I like to ask my mom, if you were looking for this product or this blue widget, how would you search it?
Mhm.
Because she's older and she doesn't know how to use the internet,
Mhm.
you know. Um, oh, I would type this in probably. Hey, I didn't think of that. Great. I'll write something up for that. So quality content, that's the biggest one out there. Um, there are a lot of ways to do. Probably my favorite one in the last year has been broken link building.
Mhm.
So if you can find a highly authoritative site like a .gov, for example, that moved a page or did something and their webmaster was lazy and didn't set up a 301 redirect, which redirects them from the old page to the new content.
Mhm.
And you can see with various tools, there's some free ones out there, there's some really great paid ones. Um, and you're talking 130 bucks a month. It's not outrageous for the paid ones. Excuse me. You can go out there, find broken pages that are a 404, and then go to the Wayback Machine or archive.org and find what was on that page. Maybe it's a 350 word count of, how to lace your shoes properly if you're a jogger. All right. Go and make a 700 page or 700 word document that's 10 times better than what was there. Put it up on your site or your client's site, and then go reach out to all those different people that have links pointing to a broken page. Say, hey, I was visiting your site and I noticed this page was, or this link was broken. I found this information over here, which looks about the same, only a little bit bigger. You might consider linking to it. And we find about 20% of the webmasters um, will go ahead and give you a link, and that's great. So
Hmm.
there's probably your best way. I think we were talking earlier about Fiverr. Do not go to Fiverr and pay $5 for 60,000 backlinks.
Mhm.
You're 99.9% sure you're going to get a penalty. It may not be in 2 weeks, but 2, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months down the road, you're going to get popped, and it's going to cost a lot more to get out of penalty and back on track, and you lose
Mhm.
3 to 6 months there too. So,
Right.
did I answer your question, or did I just go off on a ton of tangents as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was some valuable information.
Cool.
Um, if you had to condense that all into, a sentence or two, would you feel comfortable saying something like there I don't know how you'd word this gracefully, but the idea behind it is that SEO is obtainable, but there's and I don't know. It's a strange thing to try to describe because what came to mind was I wanted to say it's not a science, but it really technically, would be. There's a,
Oh, there's
there it
science to it. Yeah.
right there's a way to
We're
get to it,
gaming
but
algorithms, right? So
right.
a lot of what we do, and we don't do any black hat stuff, but we do test black hat stuff for our own sites,
Hmm.
just to see, oh, okay, I see what they're doing there. We can do this. Cloaking used to be a big deal. The keyword meta tag, the reason I said not to use it, my very first website way back when had 10,000 keywords in its meta tag, and I ranked for all kinds of stuff. It was completely ridiculous, and that's why Google doesn't use it anymore.
Hmm.
So, but to put it into a sentence, content is king, linking is still queen, and don't forget about your frequency. So, as long as you and provide stellar customer service, you're always going to have that one yahoo that's like, I can't believe this, I can't believe that. This company sucks, never do business with them. My buddy Andy Beal wrote, uh, oh gosh, what was it? Transparency in the. It's one of the big online reputation marketing books, or one of the first ones that came out. And the way that business used to be done, if I had a problem with you, Nick, I could take it up with the Better Business Bureau, right?
Hmm.
I'd write an angry letter and stick it in the mailbox, and Pony Express would take it over there. And 3 months down the road, they'd sit us down at an arbitration table. That doesn't happen anymore. You
Hmm.
you piss me off. I say something. I take to social media, right?
Hmm.
Um, so that's one of those. The great part about this, and having 100% transparency in that, you'll see an owner or a manager or CEO come out and say, look, I'm really sorry you had this. Let me comp that and make this right for you. And they still continue trolling you. You'll have 15 or 20 people that actually like your product, brand, or service come to your rescue, and you don't need to take care of anything else. this guy is clearly crazy, blah, blah, blah. The CEO said he'd fix everything, and he's still here bitching about it 6 days later, and yada, yada.
Hmm.
So, and I have no idea why I went off on that tangent. Online reputation. Oh, that's important. When you're doing the customer service, make sure you do a really good job with that. Um, and don't forget to ask for reviews. If you have somebody that's like, holy cow, this was awesome, you deserve a raise. Hey, would you mind giving us a review? Using that RDFA that I spoke about, or even schema, the aggregate vote. I'm sure you guys have seen in the organic search results, 5 gold stars based off of 210 reviews in the organic search results.
Hmm.
Those are huge. Um, Mediative did the largest eyeball tracking study since the Golden Triangle study of 2004, and it was the first time ever that the number one ranked organic search result shared in the same amount of traffic as the number 4 ranked, simply because they have those 4 gold stars. They draw your eye, and hive mind thinking, wow, 210 other people gave it 5 stars, I'll go and check this out, and it gives the price and if it's in stock and yada yada. So we're now feeding, potential buyers a lot more information, so that when they come through, our conversion rates are higher, which is what we focus on. So
Hmm.
yeah. So realistically, just make sure it's an easy step, um, easy processes. I could tell you stories for hours. Uh, Fat Flush, the diet. Dr. Ann Louise Gettleman. She was one of my clients way back when
Hmm.
I was first starting out, and she was all ticked off because there's this Dr. Natura website that was not actually a doctor; it was a made-up name, and they're
Hmm.
selling this kit, which you could find as soon as you landed on the front page. Here's the kit, add it to your shopping cart. With her shopping cart, which has since been changed, you had to do, it was 33 clicks to find all 3 products that you needed to add to your cart and check out.
Hmm.
That's bad user experience.
Right.
If somebody wants it in a kit and that's what they came here looking for, give it to them. Boom, right there on that first page. We reduced it from 33 clicks to 3 clicks, and they had a 400% increase in conversions. So,
Right. I can
simple
imagine.
stuff like that. Make it easy for people to find, answer questions, solve problems, be friendly, good customer support. And you don't really have to worry about going out and doing the backlinking stuff. You can if you want to. If you've gone through all the other bases, go for it. So,
Hmm. Okay.
yeah.
I want to piggyback off that. And like I said, I'm no professional at all. It sounds silly for me to suggest anything on this front. But one of the takeaways I got from that would be don't cut corners. They're, while there might be simple processes, they aren't easy ones. And if you think you're going to spend, 5 minutes a week or 10 minutes a week, and I can, you kind of explained the idea behind whoever you were talking about writing, a blog post a day, and then half, and then one blog post in a month. You can kind of translate that to if and I really, this applies to literally any aspect of business you can think of. Don't skimp, especially where it counts. It's nobody's going to put it in your hand. You're not going to do 5 minutes of work and see all these results. Like literally everything else that you'll do, it takes effort. Would you say that's
Oh,
fair?
yeah,
Or
absolutely. And always keep an eye on your competitors. I had a client years ago say, Dave, you do a really great job, and we love all the work you've done. You've got us up here, but you are kind of expensive. How much longer are we going to need your services? And I had to stop and think about it for a second. And my reply was, well, when do you think your competition is going to stop marketing?
mm-hmm,
And I used that Zillow uh, analogy earlier. If I had a 7-figure budget, as Vanessa did, maybe I could have taken second instead of third, and beaten her out. Who knows? She did come from Google, and she's a very smart woman. Um, she actually created Webmaster Tools. That was her big deal at Google. She's awesome. So,
hmm,
but the thing is, in any business, if Ford gets number one results, they're going to quit marketing. Chevy and all the other, Tesla, everybody's going to come out and outrank them. So it's one of those. Just keep an eye on what they're doing. If your competition is doing a blog post once a month, post at least twice a month. And
mm-hmm,
if they're doing 350 words, try and do at least 500 words. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you can't figure out something to write about in your industry and you're not passionate about it, maybe it's time to look for maybe you shouldn't be in business selling blue widgets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
doing it just so that you can make that magic internet money and quit your day to day, good luck. If you're not passionate about it, you're just not going to be able to cut it. So
Right.
yeah, the best thing I would say, just really keep an eye on your competition and try and do slightly better. It's a foot race,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if you look at it like that, you've got to run a little faster if you're trailing,
Mm-hmm.
and at least catch up, and then keep there, because you can't stagnate. You stop doing that, and then your competition is going to run right past you. You stop and
Mm-hmm.
take a break. You know, it's the old tortoise and the hare, right?
Mm-hmm.
So very, very true. Slow and steady wins the race in that, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that's what we do. We have a recipe. I just gave you guys the recipe. We do that. We do uh, at least 12 offsite articles every month and 8 on-sites. And that doesn't seem like a lot. It is a lot when you're talking about the word counts we do,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that we're talking about. But we have evergreen content that continues to grow links year over year. Um, yeah. So just focus on that, and you'll hear every other SEO out there. Content's king. Content's king. It's all become content marketing. This and that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason for it,
Right.
because it works. So,
Right.
and I'm sure any black hats that are listening to this are like, screw that guy. We can just go and buy links. It still works. And, you know, you can build your own PBN. And yeah, anyways,
Right. Well,
good
if
luck.
right, like anything else in that, I don't know what you'd call it. It sounds dangerous when I say like in that walk of life, but compare it to a rickety wooden bridge in a third world country. Like, yeah, I can drive my car across that. That guy just did. I can drive it back and forth and back and forth. But one of those days that's going to break. It'll work today. You might get across it. You might not. It might have disastrous effects. And so it's
Hmm.
if that's a risk you're willing to take for that quick and what'll likely be a small payout, then go for it. But I don't know
Right.
that I had another question, and it kind of ties into what you do. I see lots of people post, and it kind of goes with that quick, easy internet money, which I'm not a fan of. I'm not like those people that'll tell you you're not a business owner if you try to do this. But the people that focus strictly on, gosh, I guess you'd call it like affiliate marketing. I had somebody ask me a question just the other day. What's wrong with my website? And they linked me to it, and it was just this. I don't want to be mean to the guy. There's a good chance he'll listen to this even. But it was a poorly made WordPress site about boots. The something like the Boot King, and I don't know. The gist of it was that it had 5 different boots you could buy all on the homepage, with affiliate links to who knows what site. I'll say Amazon, but
Sure.
would I don't know. I know that used to be like a real big thing. I used to know this guy who was really big on HGH supplements, and that was his thing that he was trying to do. He was trying to rank for that and trying to sell that through whatever. That was like a really a quote unquote a good idea back in the day, was affiliate marketing. Hey, set up the site, be an affiliate, whatever. And it wasn't like oh, I'm gonna set up a to use something in popular culture today. Like, I'm going to set up this Yes band website, the band Yes. And it's
Sure.
going to be all this information about Yes, all the band members, all this. Oh, and then here's the albums. Oh, I'm going to clip, slip some links in there to sell the albums. I would say that's still probably a safe bet, whether you'll make a bunch of money doing it or not. Like, that's the right way to do it. But there are these people that create these dummy sites like this, this, and I won't give a link out or anything just because I don't want to hurt the guy. But I went on a big tangent. My question is, would you say affiliate marketing is a a viable strategy? That's not right because I didn't explain a strategy. But is it something that's even worth looking into? If that's going to be your business, your startup, that's your entrepreneurial calling, is
Sure.
an affiliate website to sell boots. Is that a thing that is worth looking into? Is it realistically you try to look at it from somebody else's perspective, because if you had this idea like, oh man, I want to sell boots, you could probably do it in a way that you'd make some money, and wherever you, depending on the amount of effort you were willing to put into it for a little cookie cutter WordPress site with pictures of boots on it, you might land a couple pages into Google and still make some sales. But for the average person that, is sitting on reddit.com/r/entrepreneur or whatever that says, okay, this is going to be my calling. I'm going to sell boots. Is that
Right.
something they should even look into, or should,
Well, I don't want to tell anybody, it doesn't work, because I'm fortunate enough to know Jeremy Shoemaker and Ray Hoffman,
Mhm,
two of the greatest affiliate marketers I've ever had the pleasure of knowing.
mhm,
But I will say it takes money to make money.
mhm,
And Jeremy Shoemaker, some of you probably know, is shoemoney.com. He's got that famous $100,000 check that, the picture of his eyes over the $100,000 check from Google. He used to be the ringtone king. Um, in fact, if you bought a ringtone for one of your old flip phones back in the late 90s, early 2000, there was probably about a 70% chance you bought it from Jeremy.
mhm,
Um, so there is money to be made in affiliate marketing. I would say look into I, sure, absolutely look into affiliate marketing in whatever vertical you're in. If there's a product or a service that you use on a continual basis and you like it and you talk about it often, that's going to be an easy hands down sale. So go ahead and put it up there. It'll supplement things. But, and it's funny you mentioned HGH. I know the guy that was the number one in the world, and I won't name his name because he's a lot of those guys that have done stuff like that don't really want anyone knowing who they were, private registrations, things of that nature. But
mhm,
I will tell you, he started off with a $30,000 media buy,
mhm.
and I think he has a warehouse full of HGH that can't be sold because was it the FDC? Yeah, Federal Food and it's the drug or FDA. Yeah, they came out and said you can't sell this stuff anymore.
Huh.
So he's sitting on cases of it in a warehouse up in New York. But so for the subreddit entrepreneurship, take a look out there and really go and take a look and talk to some people. I would bug somebody like Jeremy Shoemaker and say, hey, what kind of initial investment do you think this is going to take for me to get really started here? There's some really high level classes, and you can hire people for $20,000 and they'll say, look, here's everything you need to do. Here's my recipe. I'll sit down and show you exactly how to do it. And you're going to need at least 30,000 to start. So it's not inexpensive, and there's every other Yahoo out there. Not to say anybody that's trying it is a Yahoo, but um, I just had a website built for $5 on Fiverr, and I bought 60,000 backlinks on Fiverr, and I'm ready to become a millionaire tomorrow.
Mhm,
That's the Yahoos I'm talking about. They take up
mhm,
a spot in the SERPs, right? So you're
mhm,
going to have to battle them. But if you really want to sit down and do affiliate marketing, uh, go for it, man. It's not for me. I tried it way back in the day. I actually, one of my big ones was payday loans way back in the day. And
mhm,
that's some nasty area. I never got into pharmaceuticals. I did the online casino until that got shut down in Washington State here, and never did any porn or pills,
mhm.
just a little casinos and payday loans. But yeah, there's some great money. Oh, geez, even mesothelioma back in the day, that was freaking awesome. We were making money hand over fist. But as with anything that's a flash in the pan, you make your money while you can, and then Google shuts it down.
Mhm.
That was a
Mhm.
nice 3 month payday, and then gone. So
Mhm.
it's not something, entrepreneurs aren't the same type of person that's like, oh, if I don't have that regular 40 hours a week, I'm just going to die if I'm not putting something aside in my 401k. Entrepreneurs are like, that next big thing is going to happen and I'll retire early,
Mhm. Mhm.
with that mindset. And that's great. There's a lot of, if it weren't for entrepreneurs, a lot of things wouldn't be invented. We wouldn't
Mhm.
have all the cool stuff we do. But if everybody was just worker drones and went off, and no offense to anybody that has regular 9 to 5, it's not for me. Like I said, this is my 16th or 17th year. I can't even remember working for myself. And it's not always easy. A lot of times it's scary, um,
Mhm.
you know, feast or famine sometimes. But yeah, and I know I just went off on a tangent again there, but affiliate marketing, I have no qualms with it whatsoever. Go and do it.
Mhm. That's interesting. No, and that was a great tangent because it answered all my questions and then some. And it's really interesting because I would have given the complete opposite advice. Like I said, I'm no professional, but just and it I don't know. It's I don't know what you'd call it, relative or whatever. It I'd say it varies. If you're if you've got like you said, a giant budget or a lot of knowledge, and like I said, when I was talking about that, I kind of used an example of a way that it would succeed. If you know, I'll go back to saying the best in your field. If you had, the best Yes Band website, and we're trying to, slip some affiliate marketing in there, or just used it in your everyday. If you already owned a business, if you owned a web hosting company, and you slipped in some affiliates for domain names, or taking a step back, if you did web design and you used your affiliate code for hosting, I could see that being really successful. But the people I'm
Right.
talking about are these people that stumbled across. They might, however old they are. I don't mean to talk down, like you said. I don't mean to talk down on anyone who wants to try it. If you want to, go for it. But in this scenario, let's pretend it's a 17-year-old kid who kind of in passing on Reddit, switching from the League of Legends subreddit, stumbled across our entrepreneur or something, and just kind of did some research, a week or two, and said, oh well, here's a way that people make money. I can set up this website and sell shoes or shoelaces, or I can sell
Right.
USB cables or water bottles, or whatever they are, something kind of silly like that. I would have suggested, hey, stay away from that. It'll be infinitely more headache than it's worth. You're, it, and
Sure,
it
but
sounds like I'm just kind of shitting on
you
their
know the
dreams.
the problem with that thought process, though, and I understand where you're coming from, because it's like, Zappos already exists, Amazon already exists, all the verticals and all the niches are have all been taken up. I should have been on the web 20 years ago, right?
Hmm.
One of my old favorite sayings, and I think it's a Chinese proverb, but one of my old companies, Shade Tree Marketing. I like to ask people, when's the best time to plant a shade tree? And after their look of confusion, I say 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Do you know when the second best time to plant a shade tree is? Today. So, you
Hmm.
know, I I remember I was doing SEO back before Google, and when they came out, I was doing SEO for Yahoo and MSN, right? And I was a
Hmm.
badass and young in my 20s, and Google came out. I'm like, who the hell's going to use Google? It sounds like a baby with a rattle. Goo goo gaga. This is
Hmm.
ridiculous. And now look at Yahoo stock. I think you can pick it up for about the same price as a Big Mac. Um, it's completely different. So second to market, a lot of times, or even third to market, can be much bigger than first to market. So just because somebody else is already out there, um, I'm the type where I would rather find a drop shipper and white label my business as Boot King
Hmm.
and not use those affiliate links. And then talk about the quality and see if I could send some out to some bloggers, fashionista bloggers, and hey, test these out. I'll send you a free pair of boots, and da da da. That's where your marketing dollars are going to go. And I'm not ashamed to say we do regular ad placement in magazines and newspapers and things of that nature if it works, right? It's not all about online. If you can drive people to a quality landing page and get them in your sales funnel, then by all means do it, any
Hmm.
way, shape, or form necessary. So, yeah, just going out and setting up 5 sets of boots on Amazon links, probably not going to make you much money. But you know, in that scenario too, you probably didn't spend much. I mean, becoming an affiliate at Amazon is free. Uh, you can get quality hosting for about what, 200 a year.
Hmm.
um, you're not out much. So, and if you're not out there doing something frequently, like I said, every Tuesday and Thursday, get some quality content out. How are you going to write about these 5 boots forever and make it new, fresh content each and every month?
Hmm.
That's the obstacle right there.
Hmm.
So, but and one other thing too, because you said sliding in affiliate links.
Hmm.
I'm not an attorney. I'm also not an affiliate marketer, but I do remember some of my friends being all ticked off about it. In one of my streams about 6 months ago, the Federal Trade Commission has changed it. You can now get fined if you don't come out and clearly state that these are affiliate links. So
Hmm.
I was on a site the other day looking up some recipe or something, and they said, "Dear reader, um, from time to time there will be links in our content. Some of these links are affiliate links. You still pay the normal price for the product, but 10% goes to us, and that helps us fund our servers, and we appreciate it." You
Hmm.
can't entice anybody to click on those, but it's much like with Reddit Gold that pays for server time,
Hmm.
um, type of thing.
Hmm.
So as long as you make a statement saying that there will be affiliate links, you're not going to get in any trouble with the Federal Trade Commission.
Hmm.
So That
That's
is an
interesting.
issue. You can't bait and switch people, because that's
Hmm.
the old, oh, it's a bait and switch. They said this and I got that instead. So,
Huh. Wow,
yeah.
that's really interesting. I bet that's something that most people don't know.
If you're in the affiliate marketing space, I know you know, because I that's how I found out about it. A bunch of my friends were bitching and moaning all day. I
Hmm.
can't believe this and blah blah blah. So yeah,
Hmm.
there's hoops to jump through and all that good stuff. So, um, but yeah, there's really, if there's anything that you guys are looking to work on, we're all readily available on Reddit or on the site. Ask a question.
Hmm.
The worst possible question is the one you don't ask.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
ask. Yeah, you can do that. I had somebody that was doing the background checks. He had he had split up because somebody had told him it was a good idea to have a whole bunch of feeder sites. So he had built his own blog network, which is Google puts you in penalty for. So he had been building sites and putting duplicate content on it, all to drive traffic to this one site.
Hmm.
And that's where he spent his entire budget, was building all those sites, when he would have been a lot better off paying for some pay per click, either through Bing or um, Facebook ads or Google ads, um, while he was getting his organic up. So
Hmm.
yeah, so just having somebody go, hey, try this instead. That's probably not a good use of your money.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, things like that. Doesn't hurt to ask, and vet the information that you get too. Make sure it's not coming from a blog from 2004. And this guy said directory submission links are the best thing ever. I
Hmm.
still, and I hate to say this, my very first business partner, and I know he's not listening. He doesn't listen to podcasts, but he still has a $49.99 submission package to all of the search engines. Please do
Huh.
not pay for that ever.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Google, Yahoo, and Bing are the only ones that you're actually going to get any traffic from. AOL is a direct copy of Google. They use Google results, so you don't need to submit to them. And since Google's got the deal going on with Twitter, really all you need to do is go to your Twitter account and say, hey, I just built my new site, and link it. Google will crawl it almost immediately and
Hmm.
find it. They will come find your site. So
Huh.
not hard. And then if Yahoo doesn't find it, it doesn't matter. He's the kid in the back seat licking the glass going, are we there yet?
Right.
Um, sorry, I'm not. Again, no offense. You got to be so PC nowadays. So, not trying to be a jerk, but I really don't care. Yahoo equates to less than 8% of any of our clients' traffic, so it's not that big a deal.
Hmm.
And doing SEO for different search engines doesn't really matter either. If you
Hmm.
do it well once, all of the search engines should appreciate it.
Right.
Job well done. So
Right.
that's it.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Would you suggest any tools, any free or paid tools for people that are trying to do it on their own?
Um, Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. There's a lot of tools out there. I'll say, I've used just about every single one of them. They all have different uses. Um, I'd say Raven Tools would be probably one of your best ones. There's Moz as well. What I like about Raven Tools is it brings in Ahrefs. What's the other one? Mystic SEO, Moz, and then they have some of their own tools. They've done a lot of work with their APIs from social, and they can pull in if this is positive content or negative content based on the connotations in the text. Um, Really, at the end of the day, if you're going to be doing SEO for yourself, you just need to get out there and connect with your people.
Hmm.
Um, Set up a Facebook page. Um, it's fine. Go ahead and pay for some likes on Facebook, not on Fiverr. Those are junk. Um, yeah, get the three big ones. Set up your Google Plus page, and then just people are going to talk to you. Hey, we saw this, or hey, you had 3 misspellings on this page over here. Thank them. Don't be, oh man, spell check didn't catch that, whatever, and pissed off about it. Hey, thanks. I'm really glad somebody's reading my content and cared enough to tell me I made a mistake. Awesome. I'll take care of that. Thanks for pointing that out. At least somebody's reading it, right? So
Right.
that's cool. A lot of people get ticked about that. I don't like, anyways.
Hmm.
Um, just try and have a positive attitude and help as many people as you can, and that'll come back tenfold.
Hmm.
So, how we were we used to do the SEO 101 podcast, Ryan
Hmm.
Mark and Carolyn Shelby and I. Um, I was at Search Engine Strategies as 05 or 06 or something, and Google had a Google dance for us one of the nights, and I was there with Ken Jarina, the CEO of EPR. We had taken a cab over together, and there's this huge 7 foot tall Nordic dude that started running at the two of us. And Ken's huge in the industry. He's built this huge program, multi-million-dollar company. No, we're not even in the same ballpark. He's a rock star. I'm not. And this big Nordic guy comes running over, and he almost tackled me. He just picked me up and hugged me. He had been flipping burgers at Burger King and has 3 kids. They live in Mississippi. And he's like, man, we did everything. We had like 50 podcast episodes at that time. He followed everything that we told him for free on the podcast. And he'd call in and ask questions, and we'd help him. He built a 6-figure a year party supply company on
Hmm.
Magento. He's like, we changed our entire lives. We moved into a house and this and that. Da, da, da. Can I get my picture with you? Yeah, that was the first and only time I've ever had a fan, and I'm using air quotes when I say that, come up and do that. But it's a really great, rewarding feeling. And the really great thing that actually came from that, I said, take care of as many people as you can. He sent me probably 15, 20 clients over the years.
Hmm.
Oh, if you want to know about it, this is the guy. This is your guy. And now he's a successful business owner. So they're going to take his word for it. So
Hmm.
these are what I like to call laydown clients. They come in and, hey, we got referred to you. You helped him out. What can you do for us?
Hmm.
Oh, we can help. So yeah, a lot of times, and like I said too, we started that podcast just to help those mom and pops that couldn't do um, or couldn't afford us, type of thing. If you
Hmm.
want to put in the sweat equity, absolutely go for it. You
Hmm.
don't always have to hire a contractor, and you can hire a contractor to get small bits and pieces. Um, Dave Davies, who's a good friend of mine as well, he was speaking at a different SES, and it was the first time I remember going, "Holy crap, that's sage advice." He was talking about the small business SEO owner. He's like, take the 3 things that you are the best at, do those 3 things. Hire somebody else to do all the other stuff. I suck at doing books. We hired an accountant. Yes, it is an out of pocket expense, but I save 20 hours of my time where I can bill more than what my accountant charges. It's a no brainer, right? And
Hmm.
I don't have to worry about anything being, mucked up. So, yeah. Anyways. Oh, and contracts. If you're going to be in business, I think we were talking before this. Um, Scope of work inside of your contract,
Hmm.
and a best practices waiver. The
Hmm.
2 things that have saved us the biggest headaches. What do you mean I have to sign this best practices waiver? Well, you hired us for a good lump of money, and you're now telling us that because you read some blog post that you're going to do it differently. We need you to sign this best practices waiver because you're not performing at what we call best practices. So you can't come back in 3 months and go, what happened? We're tanking in the SERPs, because you're doing exactly what we told you not to do.
Hmm.
Remember when we had you sign that? So that automatically business owners will have a paradigm shift. Wait a minute, why do I have to sign this? I already have a contract with you. Yeah, to do A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. You're having us go completely off the map and do something completely wrong.
Hmm. That's
And
a
and with yeah,
No, I was
sorry.
just going to say, yeah, we talked about that before the show, and I wrote it down because it was such an interesting concept, something I'd never thought of before. I do small scale website design and things like that, and I run into these situations where, and it's partially my fault because the idea behind this podcast is that it's a business podcast for the rest of us. It's for people that you're a big guest, as I guess as far as they'd go. You're very successful in what you do. You've done it for a long time. You're by no means a startup. Um, but for the people listening, it's meant to be applicable to just about everybody. And my point in that was I do small scale website design, and sometimes I'll do things against my better judgment. Whether I take on what I can already see as a nightmare client. Whether I'm a little lenient when they say, okay, well, I've also got this, and more often than not, it'll bite me in the butt. The
Hmm.
the client that's gonna be
I
a
learned that
pain.
the hard way about 9,000 times before we came up with this, by the way. So learn from my mistakes.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
it's such a cool concept and a cool idea. I'll have these clients that'll say, I want this website, 5 pages. It's got, I need to, PayPal button on there, simple stuff. I want an image gallery, whatever, and we'll get it all listed out. And I recently, I'm kind of halfway in between just, going back and forth in email and what you just described, a best practice waiver. I'm kind of in the middle of that, in that I've got what I call a design document, and I'll send it to them. And I could probably put more effort into it and have it, slightly more thorough or whatever. But it asks, what's your business, a link to your logo, phone number, email, about us text, and it kind of goes in with what the other thing you were describing, a scope of work thing.
Mm-hmm.
It now asks, about us, what we do, why we do it, any any wording they might want on the website, because this goes more to the scope of work contract than the best practice waiver contract. I'll have clients that I'll finish their website for, and they'll say, oh, there's, you're I've read your emails. You're clearly better at this English stuff. Go ahead and write the wording up. And I found myself just kind of doing it by default. If they didn't have an
Right.
existing website, I would just, because it's, I don't know, you do it for long enough and you can just kind of BS your way through it. Oh, you're a lawn care company. If I'm really out of my element, I'll go look at, 2 of your competition sites. And I would write some crap text, are you looking for the best, your lawn is your public image, your outside image, be the envy of your neighbors, blah 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 blah. And
Right.
I'd write about us, why we do it, what we do. Oh, we, with one goal in mind, to be the best lawn care company at the most affordable price. It just, I can spit it out like it's nothing now. But with that, I like I said, I originally started talking about the best practice waiver, but it kind of segued into the scope of work waiver. Having something super concrete, and I feel like it's more important for the average, the everyday business owner, whether you do website design or you're a lawn care company or you're a party rental supply, whatever. Have it all really laid out. Don't get taken advantage of, because it's really
Sure.
easy. And you know you'll find 2 types of people that'll do it. There'll be the people that do it kind of maliciously, and they know, like, oh, he's a shaky chihuahua right here. He does really good work, but he's not really sticking to anything. We can milk him for this. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you add these extra pages? Let me call you in a week and tell you, oh, I forgot. We really want this added, and and these are the same clients that, the client that's willing to take advantage of you is the client that'll give you a really hard time when you refuse to be taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
They'll whatever, however they respond, whether they go insist on leaving bad reviews or they do a chargeback on their card, or who knows what they'll do. But it's, save yourself all the trouble by, these are, I don't know. I feel geeky for getting so excited about these 2 ideas, but it's something I never really
Oh, it's
considered.
Man,
The
it will save you so much time, lawsuit threats, all this stuff. So basically, in your initial contract, and I was very lucky. Rand Fishkin's an old friend of mine, and Sarah Bird was their legal counsel at Moz when they started up, and he gave me a copy of the contract he was using back when he was doing consultation. We've since had our attorneys go over it and make small adjustments here and there, but it's a 13-page document and clearly outlines our scope of work, how much time it's going to take, deliverables, key performance indicators, things of this nature. So as adults and business owners on both sides, you clearly see everything that we're going to do. So there's no, I thought you said we'd be ranking in 2 weeks. No, in fact, we tell everybody, a startup, you're looking at a minimum of 3 to 6 months before you start to be found in the top 100 pages of Google. And then from there, we work and adjust on the key phrases that are going to bring in the most traffic, the most bang for your buck, and more importantly, conversions, right?
Mhm.
So outline that scope of work. I think I gave you the analogy earlier. It's like going to McDonald's and saying, I'll take the number one. And by the way, while you're back there making that, I'll take one of everything else on the menu, but I'm only paying you for the number one.
Mhm.
McDonald's is a business. Would they allow that? No. Why should you? You shouldn't. Don't be taken advantage of. And that
Mhm.
scope of work document is there for that specific reason.
Mhm.
Um, Here's another word to put into your vernacular, which I love. Oh, sure, we can do that. Let me write up a change order.
Mhm.
Change orders are your best friend. $1,000 contract can turn into a $10,000 contract at the end of the at the end of the time. We
Mhm.
had one guy, I won't name names, but he had his own copy of Photoshop,
Mhm.
and because of that, he was a designer, and
Mhm.
he would make PSD files and chop them up and send them to our dev team right as we're ready to launch, like launch is tomorrow. And this is a site we've been working on, very, very large site. What do you mean you can't just make that change? Well, it changes a lot of things. Let me sit down and spend 10 hours explaining to you, or we'll just make a change order and, you know, muck it up and do it the way that you want. Anyways, this guy was, we'll never work with him again. But
Hmm.
from time to time, you find people like that, and that's why change orders are good. This is going to cost X amount of dollars. Just like if you were at McDonald's, I'll take that one, and I want all this other stuff. Oh, here, let me ring that up for you. There's a price for that. So change orders. That's yes. These things will save you lots of time, lots of money. We'll make sure everybody's on the same page, and there's no arguing. There's no room for, well, I thought you meant this. No, no. See right here where it's clearly lined out. This is exactly what I meant, and that's why we both read it and signed it, right? So
That's yeah,
yeah,
that's so interesting. That's blowing my mind, and that'll at the very least it'll change how I do business, and I'm sure it'll I'm sure it'll make quite an impact on the the handful of people that'll listen to this that can apply it to what they do.
sure.
Um,
Hopefully,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is kind of a change of topic, but what's a day to day for you? And it kind of I've got two things listed here, and I guess I'll backtrack and go to the one. Are you like I guess you call it a virtual company, or are you physical? Do you have an office with people in it, or is it largely from home?
we do have an office with
Mm-hmm.
people in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I am remote
Mm-hmm.
because I'm the president and I get to do what I want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
no, because I have kids that live here in Washington and with an ex-wife, yada yada. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm here in Washington for at least the next 3 years before I'm free to move about the country when the
Mm-hmm.
kids are in college. So that being
Okay.
said, I'm here, and day to days we usually meet with all of our clients on Mondays and Tuesdays through Join Me, which is a screen sharing deal.
Mm-hmm.
Go over reports, talk about our content calendar, anything like Father's Day promotions we just went through, and what's the next deal we've got to get ready for. Some companies you have to start getting your stuff ready in June for um, Cyber Monday, or else you don't get a foot in the door and you don't get to buy ad space. So we go over all kinds of different stuff on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then we have Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays for implementation. So depending
Mm-hmm.
on what every client has different needs, and we're at different places with all of our different clients. So we go through and get that done. I fortunately have a small group of employees that go out and take care of all this stuff. I also work with a couple of contractors. So a lot of it's emails back and forth. I'm also working on an app. Well, we've been working on an app for almost 3 years, which is about ready to go live.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just all kinds of stuff. I get pitched stuff all the time. My partner is my original VC, so I get a lot of people. Hey, we want this one. We want this for that, and da da da. And um, I also manage one of our other companies that my VC purchased, so I oversee a small group of people for that. Mostly e-commerce, and you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then sometimes I play hooky and go sailing. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's about it. It's
Big.
there's really no rhyme or reason to it other than Mondays and Tuesdays and get shit done. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yep. Being that you work from home, do you work like a a set number of hours? Do you have aside from a meeting with a client that's set in stone? Do you kind of impose some set hours on yourself, or is it kind
Oh
of
yeah, absolutely. I'm 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I take the
okay?
weekends off. And I turn that off because it's too hard to get sucked into 120-hour week,
Mm-hmm.
which is no fun. So every once in a while, I'll take some fun stuff. We've been trying to develop a large organic e-commerce site that only accepts Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working on that for about the last 3 months. Me and one of my other developer buddies just kind of going back and weekend warrioring it. But that changes. That's really nice this weekend. I'm not going to be here, and it's one of
Mm-hmm.
those. Maybe it'll come to fruition, but I'm sure it will. It's just not like we're doing client work where there's, hey, this has got to be out in 2 weeks. Let's get this done. So, but if I don't have something to do, it's, my mom always said, you got time to lean, you got time to clean. So I keep myself busy, whether it's training or I'm working with a guy right now who's I hire people to teach me things that I don't know. If you stop expanding, you start stagnating,
Mm-hmm.
and So yeah, whatever I can do. I love geeky stuff, any new tech. That RDFA is so cool. The I talked about the schema before. If you're old enough to remember the Walkman that had a forwards or a rewind, fast forward, and a play pause button,
Hmm.
that's schema. And RDFA is the Run DMC guys that came out with the refrigerator box and the boom box on the dolly
Hmm.
with like 12,000 EQ adjusters.
Hmm.
That's RDFA. So I love getting geeky with that, trying new things, testing. Um, they don't always work. We learn a lot from how we fail.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, I absolutely keep hours. And again, if a client calls at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and if I'm not busy, if I'm not eating dinner, then I'll answer it and fix whatever needs to be fixed. But
Right.
generally speaking, there's no emergency in SEO. Oh my
Hmm.
gosh, this happened. Um, well, I take that back. Sears, the
Hmm.
baby in the blender
Hmm.
debacle, that was a huge issue.
Hmm.
It was funnier than hell. Um, I had a client, same thing. $149 SEO plugin. It takes every site search and creates a new landing page, which is 100% duplicate content. So if you did a search on Sears for baby in a blender, it would take you to sears.com/home appliances/blender/KitchenAid,
Hmm.
and it would change an H1 tag out, call it baby in a blender KitchenAid. Somebody from KitchenAid found out about that. What the hell are you guys doing? Huge debacle. Somebody probably got fired. But about 2 or 3 months later, I had somebody else, a very large company, um, exact same plugin. They have 70,000 SKUs, 7.5 million pages, all from this one stupid $149 SEO plugin. So,
Wow.
yeah, anything that sounds too good to be true probably is.
Right.
Double check, ask around, and then keep an eye on it. We set up 2 week intervals whenever we do A/B split testing, and if anything's way off the chart, whoa, backtrack. Why is this way off? So yeah. Anyways,
Hmm.
I do 9 to 5. I keep busy, and sometimes I cut off a little early on Fridays because
Hmm.
that's
But
one of the
you're
benefits.
right. You're a much larger business though. Would hypothetical younger startup David have done 9 to 5 or? And I
Oh
guess
no.
I'm kind of baiting at and I'm super guilty of this myself. I might work for 12 hours one day. I might spend a day where I work 7 to 9 at night. I really kind of pick and choose. And granted, that's the nature of my business. I don't have something I have to give constant attention to. It's kind of in the background, but there are other aspects of it I could be focusing on. Like you said, expanding. Not expanding is stagnating.
Right.
I have a constant need to expand. Just for the sake of I make this much. This month, and if I put in this amount of work, or if I make these extra sales, I'll make this much. From month to month. So would my question is, and I guess I can reword it a little bit, not necessarily applied to you, but would you say it's infinitely more beneficial to kind of set a schedule to work, even if it's not 9 to 5, to work from you know 10 to 2, or is there would you think there's any benefit, or maybe not a benefit, but is it safe, or is it a bad habit to work when you feel like and I don't know, you kind of
Well,
you
I think you already know the answer to that question, Nick. If you work
well
when you feel like it, then you're pretty much retired, right?
Well,
Um,
to a certain extent, but like you said, the other side of that, if you can work when you feel like it, and be comfortable with doing that, if it works for you, if you make money and you're expanding at a reasonable rate, then like that's safe. But the other
right.
side of it, and you just kind of explained it a bit. The other side of it is you can find yourself working for 12-hour days. You
Yeah.
can let it take over. I forget. I'm sure there's a better name for it, but it's mentioned all the time: founder's guilt, or startup guilt, or whatever it is. And I'm super guilty of this myself. If I'm not actively sitting in front of the computer, I'm potentially losing out on money. And when in reality, I'm listening to a Pink Floyd album, and I'm on Reddit, and I'm talking to people on Facebook, or I'm playing Minecraft or doing something silly on the computer, but I don't feel guilty if I walk away from this computer. And I've got this silly scenario where I went and I bought this really nice TV to kind of be incentive to get out of the office and into the family room. I felt like that was a move that would benefit me as insignificant as it is. I feel like getting away from this computer, this office desk, this office chair, and sitting out there would help. But I found that I don't do that because it's, one, and this might just be how I justify it to myself. I don't have the tools on my laptop that I have on my desktop. Granted, it's like it's a text editor and Photoshop. Like I could spend 10
Right.
minutes and install it on there and have or I could, I use Mac computers, so I'm sure there's some way of installing my operating system on a network drive to be able to boot from it from any of my 4 Macs in the house. But what I find is that if I'm not actively sitting in front of the computer, with the exception of when I mow the lawn and go to sleep, if I'm not in front of the computer, I feel terrible. I feel,
Right.
and it's not like a something I should look into. It's not dangerous or anything, but it's like I'll sit there and I'll go out, I'll turn on the Xbox, I'll turn on Grand Theft Auto, and I'll be about 2 minutes into playing, and I'll just feel like, man, this is what I'm doing right now. Like I'm throwing away, potential money or, one more potential sale or whatever. And when in
Sure.
reality, I'll sit down at the computer and I'd be on Facebook and Reddit. And granted, I kind of justify it because I use Reddit to make some money. I contact business owners that post on our small business and stuff. And I say, hey, let me help you out. I'll give you this deal. And I make sales that way. But more often than not, I'm on our Funny or our Android
Right.
or our Apple. I'm just reading and just tinkering. I'm not doing anything beneficial. But
Sure.
and that was a big long tangent. But
No, I get it. You actually made me think of a meme while you were doing that. A couple of my employees have sent it to me a couple times. The most interesting man in the world.
mhm,
D I don't always screw around on Facebook, but when I am, I'm doing SEO,
right,
which cracks me up because clout scores are one of those things. I'm constantly trying to get my employees and my clients up at least over a 60 clout score. Which some people don't care about. I do personally because it does give us a small, slight reading on where you are. Unfortunately, Reddit's not involved in there, but then people would just be comment whoring. But yeah, 16 years ago when I started up, I was doing 80-hour weeks. And
mhm,
if I had so much information to download at that point. It was just I was constantly learning. There was always something new. It was SEO was just becoming a thing, and if you weren't on the cutting edge, then you were left behind selling $50 packages to submit your search or your website to
sure,
48,000 search engines, right?
right,
Um, and developing websites in Microsoft front page. God, that actually happened. Um, horrible time for the web, really. Um, Look at how far we've come. It's great. But
mhm,
no, I do feel like if I'm not around, and I do a lot of on the phone, I'm on the phone a lot. So I usually only get maybe 3.5, 4 hours a day on the computer. The rest of the time I'm on the phone talking to somebody, whether it's clients or employees or potential new clients or doing a podcast.
mhm,
So whatever the case may be, um, yeah, I think if you're going to take your small business or your startup seriously, you should have some kind of a schedule. There's other people that are going to say, no, you can do it whenever. Different strokes for different folks, man.
mhm,
Whatever floats your boat. If it's working, great. If it's not, don't turn around and say, oh, being an entrepreneur is BS. It doesn't work.
mhm,
Did you really try?
mhm,
Did you try hard enough? I mean, did you try like you would at a job where you wanted a promotion, not just a 9 to 5 paycheck? You know what I
mhm,
mean?
mhm,
So I think it's going to be a different answer for everybody, but I get it. I have to stop. I stop at 5. I shut off the computer screen. I'm done, and I go download on in the family room
mhm,
on all kinds of different stuff. So
mhm,
whatever works for you. But I do find that for myself, the schedule works really well, and it works real well too because if you have clients, those are the times they're going to be open. And if you don't set some sort of boundaries, people will start to take advantage of you as well.
right,
So I know your site may be down right now. I don't actually handle your hosting. Bluehost or HostGator does, or DreamHost or whomever. It's 11 o'clock at night. Can you call your guys and maybe take care of that? That has nothing to do with our contract.
right,
So yeah, I get those calls, not as often as I used to, but we're out of the
mhm,
hosting game, like I said earlier. Well, for a decade now, but
right, right.
yeah. So yeah. Like I said, there's no real emergency fires to put out other than that baby in the blender one, like I said. But
Mhm.
that was funny, and we did take care of that immediately.
Mhm.
The following morning, I wasn't getting out of bed to do it,
Yeah.
although I could have. But
Right.
anywho, so.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, for startups, read the Lean Startup. 4-hour work week is great. I can't check my email just once on Monday. I would be fired by several clients.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's going to be different for everybody, and it all depends on the vertical you're in, what you're trying to accomplish. So
Mhm. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
so
that's good advice. There's and like most things, kind of like when we were talking about the affiliate thing, there's not a cut and dry just about with anything in business. There's not a cut and dry, this will work, this will not work for you. It's you know try it out, see how you feel, try the other, see how that makes you feel, apply it to your specific type of business. It's far, and that, yeah, it probably affects more people who do web-based business than not. Lawn care
hmm
company, you're realistically not going to get somebody calling you at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, or there's not a whole lot you can. I don't know, that's not true. I guess you could go home and work on your books or work on your advertising, but you know
sure,
i I don't know, I guess it's depends on the kind of person you are, but
right.
yeah.
And for lawn care, just because you asked about that, I actually have a fraternal brother um, that just asked me to help him out. And we've had amazing success with Facebook ads. You put in
Mm-hmm.
the zip codes that you're working in and do the cost per thousand impression. I think it's $5 for 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Um, Come up with some of those witty ads that you had, drive
Mm-hmm.
people right to your site to a services page and a phone number. Make sure you have a couple calls to action. Click here, um, you know, get it done. Click to call, yada yada. Very good, and you can do that for under $100 a month. So,
And are those the ads that appear on the right side of the page, or are they like the
mhm.
promoted posts?
No, those show up on the right hand side of the page. So if
Okay.
you're inside of that zip code, we can send you ads. For the promoted that come up through the middle, you have to have content there. And certain verticals are really hard to write about. This Today we mowed a football field. This is really awesome. Write
Mm-hmm.
350 words about that and promote it.
Right.
Nobody really cares.
Right.
Why is this showing up in my stream? You're probably going to tick off more people than you help. But if you can show that same ad to somebody in the area that you already know is a homeowner, is above the age of 35 or 30 or 35, you don't have a lot of homeowners. Well, I guess you can, but not in this area. It's freaking expensive up here. Um, Anyways, you know your target demographic. Go through, whittle it down, um, and yeah, spend the money. Let them know that you're there because
Mm-hmm.
they may not know how to search properly. And that's really, if you're starting something off like that, spend $100 a month and just call it your marketing budget, or go buy 5,000 balloons and fly them off your truck. It's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Facebook is a great way to go out and grab some of those people. We're having great success with it anyway. So
Huh.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well,
cool.
it
So
it is about time to wrap up here. But being, I keep harping on this, being that you're in such a relevant field to just about any business owner, do you have, and this is a kind of a silly and hard question, do you have any, quick, I don't know, 2 or 3 sentences of, advice for a business owner? I kind of a like a not a crash course, but here's the takeaway. Here's my advice
sure,
for that you can apply to just about any business, anything like that.
absolutely. Be passionate about what you're doing and focus on the three things that you're the best at. Find other people to pick up the slack. And if you do that, well, and always be testing, ABT. We're constantly saying that around here.
Hmm.
Test. If you fail, pick yourself up, figure out what you screwed up on, and try again. And just, you know, that's it. You've got to be passionate about it. You got to love what you're doing. Spend the time. Don't take shortcuts. All the old common sense. My dad always used to say common sense isn't that common after all.
Hmm.
Um, but that's really what it takes. So you've got to be passionate about what you're doing, or you're in the wrong space to begin with. Not to say you can't make some money. People do it all the time, but it's not a great way to do it. Um, Tell me what you love to do, and I'll tell you how to go make money doing it. So
Hmm. Hmm.
that doesn't always work either. I can't tell you how many people I know have game degrees for building video games that
Mhm.
are all in. I only know 2 of them that are in the actual field. So out
Mhm.
of hundreds. So, anyways,
Right.
yeah. Um, I don't know, man. Follow your bliss. Always be testing. Stick at it.
Okay. And where can we find you?
Well, I'm all over the interwebs. You can actually find me at I'm kind of a big deal on the internets.com. That's plural. That actually just 301s to my Twitter page, but
Mhm.
I'm Neoblog on just about everything. So
Okay. And your website?
neo1seo.com.
And that's NEO and the number one SEO.com.
That's it. Perfect. Thanks, Nick.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on.
You got it. Have a great day. Bye bye.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. That about does it. Um, Again, this was episode 1 of Weekly Collective, a business podcast for the rest of us. Before I go, I thought it'd be neat to issue kind of a weekly challenge, just something new and different that you can do for your project or business, something that's pretty easy to do, you can do in a day, and something that could really benefit you in the long run. This week, I thought it'd be something simple like create one new social profile for your business. If you don't already have a Facebook profile or a LinkedIn account or a Twitter, whatever it might be, you might find that you just want to submit your information to something like Yellow Pages or whatever it might be. Do the research on your own, find out what works best for the type of thing you do. But just go out and put one more mention of your business out on some website. The chances of it helping drastically are slim, but it's like the saying goes, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So spend 20 minutes, go create a LinkedIn account, whatever it is, and just give somebody the opportunity to discover your business or your project. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for bearing with us through whatever technical mishaps or whatever may have happened or may happen in the very near future. Bear with us. It's a learning experience for both of us. It should be pretty entertaining to watch it evolve and grow into more. Um, Follow us wherever you found us, whether you got this off of Podbean or SoundCloud or iTunes or YouTube, wherever it may end up. The website will be weeklycollective.com, so you can go there and if you caught this on YouTube but you prefer it in another format, chances are we've uploaded it there, and if not, if you suggest it, we'll toss it up there. So give us a follow on wherever it is that you prefer to follow us, and stay tuned for an episode next week. And thanks for your support and thanks for listening, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.